Welcome, welcome, everybody. I hope that you are having a great day today. Isn't this a fun event? So we're here in the Sacred Treasure House today, and our event is pine cones and peppermint. So isn't that a fun theme? So I'm going to try to work those things into my project today, and I've got a fun idea for us. Last week, I started Tiny Tuesday on my page, and so I'm going to be able to continue Tiny Tuesday right here in this event with this theme. So I love it when, when we can work all of our magic in all the places and, keep ourselves, together. Hi, Gina. How are you? So let me see here. So I know, and coming up after me is going to be Karen from, let's see. Hang on a second. What is her page name? Oh, hang on. I'm just trying to clear some stuff off my screen, you guys. I think it's White's Creative Designs. Is that right? Oh my gosh, I wrote it down and now that was what was in the way and I just got it deleted from where I could even see it. So, oh my goodness. Hi, Tanya. Thank you. Thanks for getting me sprinkled in there. So, we don't want to delay. Okay, so for doing something small today on a small scale, for our pine cones and peppermint, I am going to make a tag. Now I want to make a tag with watercolor paper. Let me get you down here to the desk. Okay, I'm going to use some watercolor paper. Oh, let me see here. I forgot to put this back up here so I could see. There we go. I can see more comments. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Barbara. Grace. How are you guys doing? Okay, so one of our friends told us about being able to get watercolor paper at Five Below. A whole pad of watercolor paper. This is what she uses. I'm just going to clip this out of here. I don't want to tear it. And for, $5. I'm like, $5 for watercolor paper? That's a great deal. So for using it for things like this, this is going to be perfect. And this is what it looks like. So that's at Five Below, I think, isn't that? I hardly ever go in there. But you can use it for all kinds of things. But this is what we're going to use it for today. Actually, watercolor, like it says. Oh, I got some messy stuff on my desk. Like always, right? When have you not seen me have messy stuff? White's Creative Designs. That's what I thought. I was close, wasn't I? I don't even remember what I said. Oh my goodness, you guys. Fatima, is that how you pronounce your name? Fatima from Arizona. Good morning. Yeah, it's still morning for you too, huh? Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out and make like a little wreath. And I'm going to use, you guys, you can use so many things that you have around the house. You don't have to have special tools. And I'm going to mark my tag. I'm going to draw a tag, my circle that's going to become a wreath. And so I need my tag to be fairly good size, right? So I'm going to, let's see, it looks like even if I do about if I do 3.5 inches, I'll be able to use this and still have room to create my wreath around the edges. Because we're going to stamp some things on here. So, let's see. So, we're going to have to, we would angle cut our corners off up here. And kind of decide, let's do that. And then we can kind of decide how we want our shit. You know what? I'm going to do that with scissors. Oh, Karen White sent you. Excellent. Hey, Calvi, how are you? So, if we wanted to have a good angle, let's just do that. And then one trick when you're making your own tags, if you take this one that you cut off and flip it over and just cut along the side of that, you will have a matching angle, right? So I'm just going to clip right along the side of that. I'm going to try to clip right along the side. Okay. Now, I should have more, I should have angles that are closer than what they normally would be if I would eyeball it. And now I can kind of see where I want that tag. So I think, right along here, let me use a little pencil. I'll do it on the back. So I think right along here is going to make a nice length to the tag. going to be so fun. We've got a whole day of pine cones and peppermint ideas for you. Now, I don't know. I think that could have been a little bit longer, don't you guys? But it is what it is at this point. So we're going to put this in here, and we're just going to draw around it, and that's going to be the basis. I'm going to put it up a little bit. This is going to be what we're going to use to stamp around to make our little wreath. Okay, so there we've got that. And now I'm going to use that technique that I have shown you here recently about how to use some stamps and watercolor. We're going to use some Tombow markers. And I'm going to use this from my Artful Impressions. Have quite a few sets that just have these little single things that you can mix and match to where you can make what kind of a scene you want. And so there's different little sets, and so this was perfect. And I thought this little set, this tiny one here, kind of resembles like a little bit of, you know, like a little pine branch. So that's what I'm going to put in there to start off with. And we're going to stamp it all around. Stamp it. You can tell I spent some time up in the north. the Midwest. North Midwest. How about that? Oh my goodness. All right, so I just need a tiny little one for this. And because this is a brand new one, it feels like brand new, I'm going to give it a couple of, let's see which of these. I got two greens here. I'm going to pull out. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, let's use that one. Well, how does the other one look? Very similar, but what's going to happen is when we put a little bit of water on those, it's going to change it up a little bit. So I wonder if I have the right caps on these. Wait a second. Yeah, I think so. Wasn't this the one that was more blue-green? Yeah, okay. You never know. I could just have easily just as mixed it up, right? Okay, so now all we're going to do is we're just going to ink right on the stamp. How many of you have done something like this before? And then we're just going to stamp it like that. Okay, that's pretty good right off the bat. All right, so now we're going to stamp all around this circle that we've created to make our wreath. Okay, and so each time we're just going to stamp. We're going to stamp a couple of times each time because we want that variation in color. I might have got those too close together. And we're just going to put it some different directions. Oops, I got my little stem. You know what? I'm going to try to I'm just not going to ink the stem. Let me put, oh my goodness. Sorry, I didn't realize that glare was there. You guys, let me, first, let me see how close I can zoom in. Oh, that's pretty good. That should be better. Oh my goodness. So last time when I did Tiny Tuesday, I worked on this tiny little scene. And then later, I realized that I didn't have my camera moved down far enough, and it truly was tiny. And I thought, oh, how awful. I don't know. I didn't mean for people to never be able to see it. Oh, how goofy is that? You guys, do you have your Christmas up yet? I have yet to do anything. And today's the day. After this, that's what has to happen at our house. And there's some stuff I wanted to do outside too, but you know, it has been so cold. I didn't even want to be outside. Now, my pencil line is still showing up, and I'm going to see if I can't kind of erase some of that in a minute. I should have tried to do it a little bit lighter, but I needed something to guide me around here, right? So you just keep stamping and moving it around. And sometimes, depending on how you're doing this, you might even kind of break it up into quadrants and then stamp so that you've got like a little bit, you know, that each of them looks pretty balanced and, you know, goes together. So let's see. Yeah, so tell me, have you got your, all that you want to be decorated done at this point, or are you still working on it? You know what? I want to know how many, I love peppermint, and I want to know how many of you like peppermint, because it is not something that everyone likes. And I tell you what though, it is sure you know, a fun look, right? The red and white, and we're always seeing such fun red and white things around, especially around the holidays. And I want to know, do you even like peppermint? I'm going to wait for some answers. Oops, I'm pressing too hard there and getting some of that ink that, let me rub that off. And I probably won't get so much of that on. And I think just one more. So, you know, you just go all around, just keep twisting your stamp. What do you think? Look at that. Look how easy that was to make just that part of the wreath. Okay, so now I'm going to actually change the green color, and we're going to put in a little bit more of a few pieces that kind of look like, let's see. I actually think I'm going to use this teeny tiny one right here. And we'll use it in the other color. And it's okay to just go ahead and do this right now. Actually, you know what? So you don't have to wait and wonder what in the world we're going to do with this. Let's get started, and let me show you how we're going to add our water to this and how it's going to start changing, okay? So we're just going to get our brush really saturated, and because these are so tiny, I'm going to go ahead and use a really small brush for this for now. We'll see. I might be able to pick up, you know, more, but I'm going to wipe that off, just kind of pinch it off. You don't want a whole lot, and then we're just going to start tapping, or you know what? I need more water than that. Let's use a bigger brush. Whoop, you got to take the cap off. It works best with the cap off, so it can actually get wet. Thanks, Gina. Thanks, Deborah. So you don't want it too soppy wet. And so now then, you're just going to start dabbing. And it's just going to dab, dab, dab. And I wish those, I wish those two stems were not on there. Maybe we can get those covered up. Oh, I know what we'll do. We still have to put our pine cones on. You're going to love my pine cones. Okay. I don't know. Can you even, I was wondering, you might even be able to see them. And you just keep dabbing. And you don't have to paint these on. You're just going to add the water and let the water do the work. And then you can, you know, pull out and kind of dot and dab around outside. It's going to add a little bit more of that color. And then it's going to look more like it was a, you know, a watercolor. It's kind of a, I want to call it kind of a cheater's watercolor. But I love this technique. I think this is so fun. And you are pretty much guaranteed a fun little, you know, project when you do stuff like this. I have to keep track of the, of my time. And I really wanted to do 2 tags. And if I can't get to both of them, I know how I'm going to incorporate our peppermints in here. So I've got us covered. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'll be able to do it. Okay. Okay, this is going pretty good. And I'm going to put a little bit more water over there. Okay. Okay. See how much that changed it? It's just got more of a watercolor look. Look, I even have an accidental blob over there. All right, so now let's go ahead and we're going to do some more. And, you know, actually, I think I'm going to kind of put this right here on the tip of this block. And let's use this other green. Wait, is this the other one? No, you guys. No, this one is. And so we're going to vary our green color up a little bit. And now we're just going to put these in here. See how tiny that is? So it's just a different kind of leaf because, you know, when we are using, when we're making a wreath, we have different kinds of foliage in it, right? Now, I don't know. I maybe should have done all of these at the same time. Both stamps before I did any of the color. So now we're just kind of making that spread out. You guys, I'm gonna try to get us down here just a tiny bit. Is that a little bit better? I don't know. It doesn't even look like it moved. All that effort doesn't look like it moved. So anyway, we want to vary your colors up a little bit because that's how a wreath would look. You would have different greens. Even if you're using the same kind of greenery, it's still going to have different values as you look at it, right? You know what I mean? It's not going to all look like one thing, one color, right? So your ink pad is not a permanent ink. I'm using these. This is a Tombow water-based marker. And these are those dual end ones. One end has a brush and the other end has a tiny tip that you could, do some smaller things with. You could use it just like that. And so, yes, so water works. And there's actually a lot of other ink pads. There's a lot, if you're using a dye-based ink pad, you can kind of do this technique on it too. I got something dirty there. Part of the important part is that you have, is your paper. Your paper can make a big difference. So when you're using something that you want to do some work with water on, you really need to have, watercolor is the best. I just can't stress that enough. Because some of the other papers are just not going to, your water isn't going to activate, or what am I saying? It's not going to spread like you want it to. And I had that problem the other day. I had some other new markers. It wasn't even they were just, well, they're another water-based marker, but I was trying to use it in a different way, not by adding water, but using a blending brush. And I really had problems, and so it was the paper. So, different papers are better for some kinds of projects than others. Now that looks silly there. Let's put something else in there. And, you just look at it as you go around, and then you think, okay, well, I don't really like that. And just go back in and stamp some more. You can kind of fix a lot of things. Like over here, there's no dark that's leaning on the inside. So I'm going to put some there. There we go. So you can just really kind of, fix it as you go. Twist them different ways. So like, it's easy to go all the way around with in one direction, and it really doesn't look bad. But then you can kind of, face some of them the other way, and it just gives it a lot more fullness when you're doing a wreath. And I don't want all of these to be all pale, so I'm going to do one more this way dark, and then I'll use its next image up here. There. Maybe even another one. There we go. You can stamp these more than once. Okay, look how much fuller it's starting to get. Oh, I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to activate this water. This part of our water we're going to activate now with some more water. Okay, and we're just going to dab. Just dab, dab, dab. And as that water starts to activate on there, and you don't put a lot, and if you dip your brush in your water, you pinch it off. But I do find this I find it fun. I love this technique. I'm not sure. Once we get everything in, I think I might have gotten my circle hidden enough. I'm not going to have to worry about it. What do you guys think? That pencil circle. And it's okay if you come outside of your image. That just, gives you more of that, watercolor feel. I think these two colors look good together. You just keep dab, dab, dabbing all the way around. Now that one got kind of muddy and kind of lost its shape. You got kind of overworked. Okay. Oh, thanks, you guys. Thanks for sprinkling me out. Hey, Linda, how are you? What circle? Well, that makes me feel better. Look at that. You can still lightly see it, but you know, a lot of times we would see whatever we used anyway, right? You would see some part of it. Maybe. Would we? Okay, almost done. I've almost made it all the way around. Okay. All right. There we go. I think that's looking okay. What do you guys think? Give me some thumbs up if you think that's starting to look like a fairly decent wreath. All right. Now then, for our next part, we're going to add some little berries. And I'm going to use one of these that has a bunch of little berries on the end. And we're not going to ink, but just the tiny top part. Hey, Karen, how are you? And so one of these goes left and one goes right. And it doesn't really matter because like you saw me use these, I just twisted it around, right? Just twist and turn, baby. Oh, yikes, I've almost, oh, phew, hang on a second. I'm losing parts here that are, uh-oh. Okay, hang on one second, you guys. I've got some of my parts that are escaping. They're about to leave the craft scene. Nobody told them they could go. I should have put them in. They need to be in protective custody over there, so I think they're doing okay. All right. So now let's go ahead and put this one on. I think I like the way that worked, having it really close to the edge. Then I didn't have so much trouble with inking around. And I'm going to use a pretty red color on this one. Wonder if the ink would stick to the end of a skewer to make red dots. I don't think so, because well, here, I'll show you. I got a skewer right here. Let's try it on our paper. Okay, my first guess, what did I do with that little scrap that we were working on? I removed it, didn't I? There it is. You guys, I would think not as much because I would think the wood would be porous enough that it wouldn't stamp back off. But let's see. Let's see. Kinda. You don't get a good circle, really. They're not very even. But we tried. It was a good idea, right? Hey, Kathy, how are you? What are you up to today? Okay, so now I'm just going to put these, and I'm just going to paint all of that part red. But just, you know, sometimes you get little things that are red all the way down, right? I mean, in the fall, when some of those things start changing, you get all the colors. You know, I don't, hang on. I don't really like that one. What do I do with that set? You guys, I'm going to use the one that just has 3. Well, I guess we could use, you know, both of them. I could stamp some. Let's do that. Let's add a few. Not too many. I don't want too many of this one. And then I'm going to use more of the one with the 3. I'm not real thrilled with that, you guys. Not at all. Oh my goodness, and that one came right. Okay, well, I know what to do with that one. Okay, let's take this one off, and let's use this tiny one that only has 3. You know, some of these blocks have little, they're shaped like this, and so it's for you to hold. I'm going to try to put this on here so that's when I hold it, it's easier. No, that works better. Okay. Okay, now then, this one just has 3, and I think I'm going to like that better. Let's try. So we got to go back out here. Okay, yeah, I like that a little bit better. And then we're just going to stamp some of these around. You guys, I'm glad that I decided how I could work in the peppermints in with this because, you know, sometimes you just think you're going to get more done on a live, right? Oops, that one didn't go in a great place. And then you're just like you're trying so hard to get all this stuff done, and you know, it might not it might not happen. So I like this. Oh my goodness. Okay, that one. Well, you know what? Let's do this. Let's stamp one by it. Well, we'll just make that look like we meant it to have a lot of them. I guess we're going to have to do some more of that. When in doubt, just stamp more. Is that the saying? I don't know. No, usually my plan is to stamp less if I make some big mistake, right? Who knows? I tell you what, I think my pine cones are going to help me cover up any things that I just really, really don't like what happened with them. I don't know. Are we getting a little overboard with the berries? Don't know. It's hard for me to decide. But we want it festive looking, right? It looks organic. Thank you, Linda. I love it. And I'm going to face this one, kind of tilt it a different way. This, I'm going to put one over here going that way too. Okay. Maybe one over here. This one needs to, let's put something out this direction. There. Now we've got some that have a lot more of clustering, and so it doesn't make that one look like it was a mistake. It looks a little better. All right. Okay, maybe another one right down here at the bottom, coming off this way. Okay, I think I can live with that. Let's go ahead and put the water to it. Okay, all right. Okay, you ready for the magic? Oh, thanks, Celeste. Hey, how are ya? Okay, so now we're going to dab our little berries and see how that goes. And I don't know that I really want to do much with their stems. I don't know, that might be a little bit more. Maybe we should, I think I'm going to go back to the tiny brush. That might be a little bit easier to deal with them. So once you put your dot of water, now as I'm adding my dot of water, it's kind of making them look a little bit, it's changing their water. The water is starting to kind of change their shape. So that's not really what I had in mind. Maybe I'm not doing that right. Maybe I need to really just take my brush and just dot it right on there. Well, I don't know. You still are going to, your brush bristles are going to kind of spread out and cause a little bit of that. You know what? We need another little guy here because we've got just stems right there. I don't like that. Let's point one down here. There. At least we got a little berry there. How about that? Oh yeah, some of those really got out of whack. And we can just take our brush and swirl that color around to get it back more into a circle. And maybe I'll do that on these. That's hard, you guys. I didn't think that would be so hard. I'm sorry you're having to look at the top of my head. Oh my goodness. I get down there close. See, I have the camera down kind of close for you guys, and then I find myself even getting my head down there to see it. All right. And we could kind of give a little bit of water to some of our stems to give them a little bit more of a watery look. That would probably be good so we don't completely have a disconnect with our little watercolor look, right? But doesn't need much. Doesn't need much at all. Man, we've got kind of heavy-handed with the berries, maybe. I don't know. What do you think? I just don't know. Okay. Okay, full disclosure, I did not practice one before I came on. So, so there's that. Okay. Okay. I'll try just add the, okay, looky there. Oh, maybe by the time I get all the way around, I'll have it down. I will have practiced enough around the edge of the wreath that it won't be so bad. How about that? I don't know, the way those look misshapen, it looks like maybe they've already had a little bit of water to them. Okay. All right. Woo! There we go. Thanks, Sib. How are ya? Thanks, Angie. Okay, so there we have our little wreath like that. And I think that, I think I'm going to leave that like that. I think a little red ribbon bow would be super cute. Hang on one second, too. We probably want to decide where we want a tiny ribbon. I don't know if I've got any. I thought I had some right here. Well, I have a little bit of gold. That might be kind of fun. And sometimes, you guys, if you just want to make kind of a little fakey bow, it doesn't have to be a real bow, and you still get that nice little effect of a bow. You can just take it and just tie a little knot in it like that, and it still gives you a little bit of, glam there. I'm all about the easy. I like stuff to look really nice, but I like it to be easy. How about you guys? So maybe we put this here, and maybe we're going to put it at the top. Do you guys like your bows at the top or at the bottom? Your big bows for things like that. I don't know. What do you think? Audience participation. We can just put that there. I don't know. It would have been better if it was a real bow. Let's see. Let's try and make a tiny bow. What do I do with the ribbon? There it is. Let's check it out. All right. So I'm going to try to make a teeny little bow here. You guys, did you know there is a way to use like a fork to make a perfect little bow? I have not really mastered that technique. Okay. Okay, let's put that back over there. That's not bad. Okay. Okay, that might look a little bit better, although it kind of is a disconnect with a watercolor and then a a metallic bow. I don't know. It's kind of cute. I kind of like it. Okay, so that looks like it would work, but we need to add some pine cones, you guys. I've got some pine cones right here, and I used a die cut for these. This was labor intensive because they were all. I did layer the paper, 2 layers of paper. So at least I was able to do that, right? So now some of these places that might have not been my favorite, I can at least put a pine cone on. Oh my word. Why? Why? You guys, my granddaughter has been asking me about getting Christmas decorations up, and so I've promised that today can be the day, so I have to stand by that. And I think the rest of the family is wondering too. Okay, so now I'm just going to put a tiny bit of glue in a couple of places here. And just put those on. I wasn't really sure how many I would need. Do you like your wreaths to be really full and just have tons of stuff, or do you like them kind of simple? And you can let this have a little bit of dimension if you don't stick, you know, the whole thing down. I don't know, I'm wondering if I've got enough of them. I think I only punched out 8. Let's put this one going this way. All right. Thanks, Celeste. These would be fun, too, to make little wreaths like this and make a Christmas card. Wouldn't that be fun? Make some little Christmas cards like that. And you can, you know, sometimes our pine cones are kind of clustered together. Maybe I'll put a couple down here together. Yeah, so you guys, I hope you're watching in the Sacred Treasure House group, because then all you have to do when I'm done is just to refresh your browser, and then you can see our next presenter, which today is going to be Karen from White's Creative Designs. Maybe I'll point this one the other way. If I can capture it. You guys, you know, I should ask for some of those other tweezers for Christmas, right? Everybody's always wanting to know what I want, and I don't know. You know, when you get a certain age, it's like if you want or you feel like you need it, you just go get it yourself, right? Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and put this bow down, and I'm going to pull it up a little bit farther off of the wreath, so most of the wreath is still showing. And I'll just hold that there for a second. So Celeste says she's always liked full wreaths, but she thinks sparse wreaths are can you say that? Wreaths are beautiful depending on the theme. That's so true. That's very true. There's some of them that a sparse wreath just seems like that is exactly what it should be, right? Okay. Okay, I don't think I've got a, you know what? I'm going to set this off to the side a second. What do we have? Oh, let's put this block right there. Let's let that set for a second. And I'll show you, let me show you a fun little, oh, I don't have all my markers. Shoot. I was going to show you a fun little thing, and we were going to do a quick little snowman. I did not get my marker that I needed. Okay, well, well. That is no bueno. But let's do, you know what? Maybe I'll just do I have a gray marker? Well, let's do our little thing again and make our tag, so we can know how long to cut it while we're winding down here. Okay. Oh, that is a really wonky tag. And I think about right here. I'm just going to snip it. Just snip it. Snip it good. Keeping your missing square count. That and my fabric scissors. See, I don't know. They're missing. And I think that we need to send out an all points bulletin, because the fabric scissors situation is really becoming a problem. So if any of you want to call the tip line with that, I would really appreciate it, because, you know, it's kind of, that's kind of this week's crime scene, or not crime, craft scene investigation. So, is trying to figure out where some of those things have gone. So one of the things I thought would be really cute, where is like a blue color? You guys, I don't know where my markers are. I got a whole thing of them. And they were sitting here in a box right at my feet. But do you think if I needed them that's where they are? No. Yeah, that's kind of the story of my entire craft room. They're all missing. Well, I can't even find a nice gray one. Okay, well, hang on a second. Oh, I know. Hang on one second. Where did I do my... Oh, here's some... Oh, let's do this. Let's just do this. We will use a gray color. And we're just going to use a colored pencil. How about that? Let's just use a soft colored gray pencil. And let's just make ourselves a little snowman here. We'll just make him... And I don't know, does he need a hat? I don't know. He certainly has to have at least 3... You probably can't even see what I'm doing. Hang on a second. When I sketch stuff, I'm just a sketchy pencil person. So as soon as I get it kind of sketchied on here, and these aren't even watercolor pencils. Okay, so, but a gray color will give us kind of a softer look, right? And then we've got his body. And I'm not even going to be able to really soften out the edges. But one thing you do when you have something like this, you want to like give it a little bit of dimension because you can kind of fill in a little bit on the sides. And anywhere there would be, because that's going to give it more of a rounded look, okay? And, you know, it would be kind of at the bottom. And maybe you've got a little bit of shadow out here that's going to be in the snow. This really is, that light is really blowing that out. But let me show you in a second. I'm going to show you why I wanted to do a snowman. Okay, I saw my twin tone markers here. Let me use these markers real quick. Let's give him a little carrot nose. So we've got our little guy here. Let's give him some little eyes. I cannot draw a small circle to save my life today. And then he needs his little mouth, a few little stones for his mouth. And I'm not going to give him a hat yet. And then let's give him a little carrot nose. Oh, yeah, let's give him a hat. We got time. We got time. Let's give him a hat. So he's going to have, his hat is going to come down here. And then it would come behind. We'd see a little bit of it behind. And then I'm just going to give him a little hat like this. That is really... Let's color it in with some colored pencil because that's a tiny marker. So you guys, you know, if you got colored pencils that you want to drag out and use for something, that's perfectly fine. It's fun to use things that we don't always use. You know, this would have been better if I'd have left a little mark for kind of a little highlight. But, you know, we're doing our little snowman on the fly. And it would be darker in here too, which just using colored pencil is going to be hard for me to make it look darker when I've only got the one pencil. Okay, now. Okay, do I have a... I don't have an eraser. Oh, there's this eraser. Okay, now he needs some buttons. He needs buttons. He needs buttons. Ta-da! I got some peppermints. I got some peppermint sticky things. All right, so let's give him some peppermint button. Oh, what in the world? How did I get some weird line down the front of his face? Oh my goodness. Oh, what a mess. Okay, so I don't know how well these are going to stick, and so I always like to put just a tiny bit of glue behind them. And then an easy way to get these off sometimes is just take your scissors. And now you can just put that down there. Now, if you wanted to cut out circles and make your snowman, oh gosh, and then put some peppermint buttons on, wouldn't that be adorable? I think that is just so cute. And of course, you got to punch a hole to make it really a tag. So there we go. We got a tag for that. Okay, this guy I think is dry over here. And this is what I was thinking would be fun, is to put some peppermints in here too. Why not, right? Let's put some peppermints. So this has gone from just being a little watercolor item to having all kinds of goodies on it, right? And I'm going to use maybe some of these more medium-sized ones as well. And just give it a little bit more interest. Maybe even some of these tiny ones. I mean, they don't really make a lot of difference because of everything else, but I think it just adds a little bit more interest to it, don't you? I think that's kind of cute. And just kind of dot them around and put them wherever you want to. How fun is that, you guys? I'm kind of liking it. And then, of course, I'll have to punch a hole and then put some ribbon in it for, to truly make it more of a tag. But, we're just adding a few little goodies here and there. But what a fun theme. Pine cones and peppermint. These ladies always have such fun themes. Oh, thank you, Celeste. You're so sweet. There. So you just keep putting some on there. You put one over here. And they don't have to be, like evenly spaced. You're just adding them in just like a fun thing that you would do on a wreath. Look at that. I really hate to put a whole bunch more up there because you're not going to be able to see it, but let's put a couple up there. We'll put a couple of tiny ones up here. How about that? Those little bitty ones. Little bitty peppermints. I got to go back. I'm trying to remember which of you said you actually liked peppermint. I do. I love peppermint. Okay. So thanks for having me today, ladies. I really appreciate it. This has been fun. I like this. It's kind of fun. Something different. I like to show you different things. Get you thinking about something else you could try. Using some things you might already have on hand in a different way sometimes. Because that is just fun to do. Okay, so now we got our two. Okay, this guy needs, let me use some brown and give him some arms. We have got to give him some arms. Give him some kind of stick arms. Oh, let's put him so that he is waving. How about that? He maybe should have had a little bit. Let's use there. This tip is a little bit wider. I can go in and do this. Actually, I'm wondering if there's a gray in here and I could go around the rest of him. I don't think there was. I'm thinking that I'm supposed to, no, maybe not. Who knows? Actually, I don't think these are my normal ones. I think I've got another set that's got some different color. Oh yeah, this says brights. I think I've got another set somewhere, and it might have a gray. Now he has a toad. Yes, he does. The tiny peppermint stickers, they had come from Stampin' Up! At some point. I don't know if they've still got any of those or not. But, you know, that's why I fell in love with them the first time I saw them somewhere. I'm just like, oh, I've got to have some peppermint things. So there we go. So these could be, you could stick these in a journal. You could stick these on a, you know, a card if you wanted to. Hang on one second. No, I thought maybe my other ones were right there and I could grab them and give him, if I can find the other ones and put gray on, or even one of my other markers, I'll put them on there and then he'll, you know, have a little bit more. But actually that's not bad. I mean, all you have to have is just a hint of color because the snowman's going to be white anyway, right? And so that gives him that. Oh, you guys, my time is up. I have to run. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you next time. And this was my part of my own Tiny Tuesday here in the Pinecone and Peppermint event. You guys take care.